Welcome to Jack Breaks Out. We got a special with our good friend KATZ, who's going to go over all things spiritual, not of this realm. We've had her around a couple times. It's been awesome, and it's great because, like I've said, I don't know anything about these worlds, but they're very important, and the more information we can get about different things that we don't specialize in, things that we haven't looked into, all the better. So hope you enjoy. Today is March 29th, 2024. Been down and out a little bit. Just had some allergy issues with my eyes. Just happens this time of year. So, but nothing too big. A little Benadryl, a little rest, and we're back at it. So, Allie, hey, it's great to see you, and welcome again.
Great to have you back, Jack.
Yeah, absolutely, definitely.
We all missed you very much.
Yeah, I know. It was just so annoying. It started on like Tuesday, and then Wednesday got worse, and Thursday was a nightmare too. So, but all better now. So, which is good. Nothing too big. It happens around this time of year. So,
I think for a lot of us, it's the budding of the trees. The weather keeps going wonky.
Yeah, weird thing. It's been raining so much up here. I'm like, how the hell did this happen? What the hell? But all better now. So, yeah, how you been? Everything good?
Yeah, everything is great. I was on with Ethan last night.
Nice.
That was interesting.
Yeah? How'd that go? Good?
It was good.
Oh, good.
That's spreading good. my spiritual seeds around.
Oh, good. Hey, that's great. Lord knows we could use it, I don't know anything about the spiritual realm, as you know, so it's just wonderful to have you on and
absolutely
and share your information with all of us. I want to say hi to everybody in the chat. Thanks for joining us. See Himmy Cats and Denise and Hazmat and Schweggies, Sportsman, and Laura. Buckshot's in there and Scott. So it's great to see all you guys joining us in TCTM. And there's Priscilla. Nice to see you. And Barb. So just want to have you guys all with us on a Friday night. Obviously, yesterday was the Ides of March and nothing happened. So that was weird. Who knows? I don't know what calendar they're going off of. So, man, we'll see. But, yeah, so what would you like to dive into tonight? Because this is your realm and I'm just trying to learn from it.
So I read a book on my channel some time ago. It's The Realms of the Living Dead. And in one of the chapters, it's an independent communication. And there was a message from Lincoln, President Lincoln. And that, not too many people have probably read or watched that video, but I think the message that was left, whether you believe in that these people communicated with him or not, the message is pretty insane. So I would like to read this communication for everybody. And
how did this come about? This communication from Lincoln was, now this came out in what year?
1917.
Okay. And who was the one who came out with it?
It's like published from Azoth magazine. It was like a reprint. So back then in like the early, the 1800s through like the end, we know that Lincoln and his wife was into spiritualism. And that's where they all did seances and try to tap into the spiritual realm. A lot of people died during the wars back then. And people were not necessarily into the Puritan BS of the church. So people kind of steered into a spiritualistic type interest. And a lot of people did reach out via seance to spirit. And I believe that what is written on these pages is probably Lincoln.
Okay. So this is something that was divined and then published around 1917, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this wasn't something that was published by him or, and then republished years later, correct?
No, this is like someone like me coming in and giving you a message from a spirit.
Okay, I got you. All right. Excellent. Okay.
So it says, call to America. Note the following message, first published in Azoth magazine of May 1917 and reprinted here. With their permission, we feel to have been not only a prophecy of what America was soon to face and accomplish, but was an indication that the great soul of Abraham Lincoln was bringing to bear upon the leaders of our beloved country the same influence which this message expresses, and through that influence had much to do in guiding the nation and awakening in our broad land the old-time enthusiasm and determination to fight, not only for liberty, but to sustain in the world at large all the high ideals for which Americanism stands. Of course, this was before America entered the war, while pacifism and pro-Germanism were rampant. The authors. Out of the great mass of omens, which occurred just prior to the Great War, the following striking ones may be called to mind. At the celebration of Sedan Day, September 1st, at the Saxon town of Arton in 1911, hundreds of inhabitants had gathered in a large square, which has Bismarck's statue in the center, when suddenly the sword, which the figure of the maker of modern Germany holds, extended at length, dropped from the statue's hand and fell noisily to the ground. The fall of the sword was immediately followed by that of the sword arm of the imperial chancellor. In the next year, 1912, the Balkan War broke out, which was the precursor of the present crisis. About the same time or shortly after, as one of the results of an earthquake, which took place that autumn on the continent of Europe, a colossal statue of Germania was overthrown at Constance. Another, even more significant result of this earthquake in the eyes of the superstitious was the redding of the soiled masonry towers of Berg Hohenzollern, the ancestral castle of the reigning house. A further omen of disaster to Belgium was the cracking of the famous Roland bell in the belfry of Ghent, which has been held to symbolize for many centuries past the spirit of Flemish liberty. On July 22nd of the year 1914, it cracked and broke when ringing. This incident was regarded at the time as a dire omen of evil. In the view of the above incidents, the damage which our own Statue of Liberty sustained from the missiles which rained upon it after the explosion of several barges of ammunition, which blew up in New York Harbor on the night of July 30th, 1916, may fairly be considered a serious omen for America. In view of the laws underlying such phenomena revealed in the following message, and especially in the view of the fact that the missiles were fashioned by her own sons. There were 3 of us seated before the glowing logs of a fireplace on the evening of Tuesday, February 27th, 1917. And we had been quietly discussing present world conditions when suddenly the glowing fire seemed to fade away or be obscured by a thick, chilling fog. Wondering at this strange phenomenon and shivering as we continued to peer into its thick gray depths, 2 of those present, while in full awaking consciousness, began to see the faint outlines of the Statue of Liberty appear through the fog, but corroded, deragged, and forlorn. Instead of the heart thrill that had invariably marked our sight of that great symbol of our country's ideals, this vision brought with it the most depressing sense of impending disaster. And as we continue to gaze spellbound at the singular scene, the familiar figure of Abraham Lincoln seemed to emerge from the fog above the statue. His head was bowed in sorrow. His face was wan and haggard as from carrying a great burden of care and anxiety. And in his eyes was the deep heart sorrow and suffering of a consuming sadness, as one whose highest ideals had been scorned and trampled underfoot by those he loved best. Observing our attention, he raised his head and with his right arm uplifted, his lips began to move, and we seemed to hear his voice in tones of tragic sadness, whose pathos seemed to melt our hearts, giving us the following message, which he begged us to transmit to his beloved people. America can retain the freedom of the seas and her place among the nations.
Alec, so this is now Lincoln speaking, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So I just wanted to, just make sure that we switched over to when Lincoln's actually talking.
Yeah, this is Lincoln now.
Okay. All right. Sorry about that.
No, you're good. America can retain the freedom of the seas and her place among the nations only through a recognition of the necessity of building a Statue of Liberty, not only in the harbor or her greatest city, but by lifting up a Statue of Liberty in its true sense in the hearts of her people. Only thus can she ever take her true place. The proud boast of America that she is the land of liberty and the home of the free is symbolized in her great Statue of Liberty in New York Harbor. It is the most significant that in this age and day, America is losing her high ideals as the land of liberty and the home of the brave. No longer does she hold up the torch of liberty to enlighten the world, but crouches behind her own bulwarks crying, peace, peace. When there is no peace, drawing her garment before her face, as her sisters and brothers pass by in their misery and agony, saying, it is nothing to me. We are the land of the free. Almost at the beginning of the crisis in the affairs of our beloved country, for which we weep, a most outward accident seemed to befall our Statue of Liberty. You will doubtless recall the fire which caused the explosion on the barges laden with ammunition among the New Jersey shore. To one who pays attention to the events of life, who realizes that every great national event, such as the erection of great statue, which symbolizes the ideals of nation, marks an epoch in its history, such an accident has a profound significance. For all the forces of air of the elements of nature combine to respect that symbol and force those who have erected it to live up to its ideals. And when these ideals are belittled, the elements combine to show to man that something is vitally wrong. Therefore, this bombardment and damage to the Statue of Liberty should have been a significant omen of that which occurred in the higher realms. O America, thou beloved of my soul, thou for whom the blood of the brave and the true has been shed, thou for whose ideals great souls have struggled and perished and obtained, where is thy liberty? Where is thy freedom? Like the mist upon the harbor, such a little thing serves to blot out from your eyes the wonderful Statue of Liberty. O decadent nation, wrapped in thy slumber of sophistry, lulled into a distracted sleep by man's greed, dissension, and the machinations of thine enemies, how long think you this condition can endure? Brave sons are awakening in this great day and are ready, turning their eyes to your flag of freedom, crying out for a leader. Where is the man of destiny who shall recognize his right to be the deciding factor in the world's confused day of reckoning? Where is the brave and great leader who shall call out the sons of America to uphold the institutions of divine liberty and protection and freedom? This is insane, right? Oh, cringing nation, I know you not. Oh, effeminate and degenerate rulers, I recognize you not. Souls of America, arise, awake. Throw off this slothful, death-gripping insomnia of unrest. Look into the eyes of the true Statue of Liberty, that which exists in the higher realms, that which is the mother who gave thee birth and suckled thee at her breasts. Look deep into her eyes. See her gazing far out and away from your own land into the distant corners of the world. Then look around her feet. See the many of her seeming own, the poor, the hungry, the suffering, and the lost of all lands, clinging for protection beneath her skirts. How your hearts thrill when she sheltered in her arms the Negro slave and said, he shall be free. Yet look yonder, see the slaves, hear the cries, listen to the agony of your brothers and sisters across the sea. Where is the strong arm that can protect? Where is the mother love that can shelter? Oh, America, America, no longer the land of the free, but the land of greed and selfishness, of sophistry, of dissension among yourselves. Who shall you save? To whom shall we look for successor? Shall we tear down our Statue of Liberty? Shall we allow the elements to destroy it? Yes, yes. It cannot stand unless the land it guards be true to its ideals. Children of unrest, would to God that the cannon's roar might wake you up from your slothful sleep and self-seeking. Would to God some great call should come to you, yet I would not that the call should be save yourselves. Oh no, save your brothers, your sisters, the world. Stop this carnage like the strong giant that you are. Take your stand for principle and for right, and strike with the strength of the great powers that you are back. The powers that won freedom from your tyranny of the old world. Everywhere you are answered, know your strength. Win freedom for the world. Can you not see the great forces gathered on the higher planes, which are seeking to send into your hearts, O children of man, the old-time cry of freedom? O God, send us the man of destiny. Send us the man of destiny. Has the scroll been obliterated? The great scroll on which it has been written by the hand of divine law that this nation is destined to become the leader of the world. No hand but the hand of its own sons could obliterate it. Leaders are not made by money, by greed, dissension, and deception and underhanded dealings. The spirit of America lies crushed and bleeding. The cannons that have roared on the fields of battle have gone through her heart. The torpedoes that have sunk brave ships without warning have entered into her bosom and have sank beneath the waves of life. But there is no life left in this corpse. Cry out to the Lord of battles for strength, for understanding, and for truth. Let go of the childish cry, peace, peace, when there is no peace. Can you be saved and hear the whole world groan? Can you be great and all the rest annihilated? Is this greatness the greatness of saving your own skin? Or is it the greatness to dare, to do, and to die? And greater still to come forth in the strength and power of the Lord of hosts, knowing your destiny, recognizing that for which you were born in blood, and to fight for liberty and declare yourself for liberty and the enlightenment of the world. O America, thou art the man. Thou art the nation of destiny. Dare you deny it? Dare you hide when cannons roar? Dare you cringe when blood flows? Dare you doubt your high destiny, O America, nation of my love? Art thou fallen? Art thou fallen? How
excellent. It's excellent. Yeah. Especially for the time, it's 1917, just when we're getting involved in World War I, which we really had no business getting involved in at all. There's no reason for us to be there whatsoever.
No.
And it's when you're putting all this together and you're looking just how many times the U.S. has been attacked, whether it's very few times it's going to be a World War II type of attack. It's just been from attackers, from bankers, from oligarchs, from kings and queens, from the World Economic Forum, from these people. It's always going to be under attack, from communism, from all of these things. The United States is under constant bombardment of attack. And that's what we as Americans haven't figured out. We're starting to get it, But they want to destroy this place. And it's not just one entity, fascism or communism. They started to work together.
Yes.
And, that's as true 100 years ago as it is now. I mean, that's 100 years before Trump took office and all these different things.
It just, this, when I read it, like, now read it in the times of now. If like Lincoln came back to channel through one of us right now, the words would be super similar. Super similar. Like, who's here to come and take this country back?
Mm-hmm.
Trump.
Right.
Like, just insert here.
Right.
And what was blowing my mind was the Statue of Liberty. Like, I didn't know about that in 1916.
What know about?
That it got attacked by us.
Oh.
That it got hit with missiles.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the Statue of Liberty is very strange. It goes back to an ancient Greek goddess. Yeah. And it's probably not something we want. The idea of it is what we want, but the actual
statue itself
being, that is, let me see if I can find it. I remember reading about all these, Greek gods and goddesses, and it's one of the lower deities, which is, how they always seem to infiltrate real religions, is go with the smaller, like nobody deities, and then create their own cult around it. See if I can find it.
Yeah, now it's figuring out what liberty stands for us, and what, if we could make a statue, what that would look like.
Yes, and that's what I think that he's trying to allude to, is that, we need a real Statue of Liberty, not what the hell's in the harbor.
Exactly.
When you look at it, it's
I mean, I used to pass it all the time. I used to take the ferry into the city constantly for work. It is. Yep. I never been on the island, but you pass by, it's free.
I flew around it once, like in this helicopter tours when I was like 10 years old. Of course, it was under, they were doing this whole refurbishment, and it was surrounded by scaffolding. I'm like, well, that's great. So then we happened to go to Rome, and we get to the Sistine Chapel, same thing. Oh, under renovation. Sitting there looking like, can we see anything, please? Like, but you can see some of it. But this is the goddess that I think that they were channeling, because I don't think, and it's called, Hecate, which is there you go. Thank you. Is a goddess, ancient Greek religion, a pair of torches, a key, or snakes accompanied by dogs, triple bodied. It's associated with crossroads, night, light, magic, protection from witchcraft, the moon, graves, and ghosts. This is a very obscure Greek goddess, but when you look at it, it's Hecate was one of the several deities worshipped in ancient Athens alongside Zeus. Yeah, whoever made that part up? Yeah, they're going to put this person up with Zeus. This is all the changing of a minor goddess, and so Egyptian origin. That is a surprise, but it talks about this is really a god of witches and not of good ones, which you know more about. And when you look at it, it's nuts. Sacred plants. Let's see. As you can see, this is what the goddess looked like. Move this in a little bit. It's not. But you see, there's the torch. You can see obviously these things.
The spikes.
And there's obviously the snake. But there are other pictures of this goddess. I mean, not exactly somebody you want watching over your liberty. Let's put it that way. Yeah, so you can kind of see there's the torch, and there's another one where she's got a dagger, got dogs around her skulls. That's positive. And where the hell's the rest of it? There's some other ones that are just dead on. It's like, oh man, it's just crazy. But it's supposed to, it's supposed to be like three-headed goddess. But you can see right there, it's the same spikes that are on the Statue of Liberty. Exact same.
It's the three aspects. So it's the mother, the daughter, the crone, which is the grandmother.
The crone? The grandmother?
Yeah. So it's the three aspects of life. Although, I mean, there's the good faction of people that do witchcraft that are in the positive, the light. They also recognize her, but just her positive aspects, not the dark.
Right. Yeah. That's the problem, is the dark aspects are what this really, this, witch is all about. And so when you look at the Statue of Liberty, right, it's,
yeah, I mean, come on, New Jersey, let's get those barges filled again.
Yeah, I know, right? Seriously.
It's like when I read that, I'm like, did that really happen? Because nobody ever put that in a book, at least in New York history. I mean, a lot of us grew up in New York that are in the chat, never heard of it.
No, I mean,
I was like, what?
Yeah. So when you look at the Statue of Liberty, you have obviously the same things in the book, and you've got the torch, obviously, toga, of course, kind of looks like a dude. But when you get down to, what's that?
There's chains on our feet.
Yeah, that's what I was just going to get to. Is Statue of Liberty chains.
It's very hard to see it from the harbor.
Yeah, no, it's almost impossible. You really have to get above it. So you can see the chains have been broken, which sounds good in theory, but so you go with the world's smallest picture. And you can see the chains broken there, right? And off of, so the chain is broken. The problem with that is you are letting this lunatic loose. Like, whoops. Yeah, that's not what you want, is to let this one off the chain. And more bad with this goddess than anything. So goddess of witchcraft. Right. So, yeah, right. And mandrake, that's poison.
Belladonna.
Taught to work in drugs, let's see how well drugs have been working out for us. Toxic, toxic. There we go again. Yeah.
And I definitely believe that Lincoln, when he did this channeling, was basically saying, like, this needs to come down. We need to erect something that actually stands for liberty and freedom.
Right. Yeah. Actual liberty, actual freedom. Not this representation that they're trying to pass off. And well, you had, they're saying, well, the chains, wow, liberty's free. It's like, but the chains, no, it's actually this goddess. You're letting this lunatic off the chains. So, but yeah, that, again, those people back then knew more than we did now. So they knew what this thing represented, and it wasn't what we thought. And just like Lincoln's saying here, you need a real statue of liberty. Not some ancient Greek goddess who's going to kill us all. So,
I mean, the law of one that this is like very humble and near and dear to my heart, mentions Lincoln twice in its work. He's what's called a walk-in. He's not necessarily soul, not his body. His soul is of a higher density and came in. I know the last episode you talked about how Lincoln still needed to serve a purpose after a certain point. You don't know, like after the why he was assassinated when he was.
right.
Yeah, that's because the soul that walked into him had to fulfill the rest of Lincoln's mission and then go and try to do the mission of saving the world.
Yeah. Okay, Civil War ends, April 5th. April 15th, he's assassinated. The war's over. So it had to do, in my opinion, with Reconstruction and the fact that you had so many of our, brave soldiers on both sides, dead, over 600,000. So many people, and then you have all of the people who fought in the war who lived and just said, I'm going home. So you had this immense opportunity for France and Britain and who else to stick their agents in the U.S. Congress. And that's what they did. And Lincoln was just going to unite everybody. He was going to come back and say, all right, enough. We killed the 14th Amendment, and that's what I've really been working on a lot, is citizenship of the United States. The 14th Amendment was supposed to give make all slaves who were former slaves citizens of the United States. Well, there never was a citizen of the United States. There was, but it was in capital letters. And this is in lowercase letters. It all makes a difference. And they were creating a federal citizen, and this gets in deep, but state. And you can be a citizen of the United States, but that goes back to, how you can be a House of Representative, how you can be, it gets into it too much, but it was basically you were born in the United States or you're naturalized there, meaning you became a citizen of one state and you're a citizen of the United States. One problem with the Articles of Confederation and the Constitution is they also use the term United States interchangeably, meaning how the states are organized. They're united. So they used it in multiple definitions, which was their meaning, to confuse people. So it was where Lincoln gets assassinated, because he never would have gone for it. He would have explained it. And with his vice president, he dumped Hannibal Hamlin, and he got Andrew Johnson. And Andrew Johnson was a Democrat, but he's from Tennessee. Now, this guy grew up dirt poor, literally, and made his all way up. So you had both that were going to work together. That was his idea, that here, I got a guy from the South. He's a Democrat, but he never left the Union. He was the only senator from the states that seceded not to leave the Union, so they could have worked together. That's off the beaten path.
So here's something to add to possibly that, and this is coming from the Law of One of Ra. So when I said that he was a walk-in, the entity Abraham was taken to a plane of suspension until the cessation of a physical vehicle, much as though we of Ra would arrange with this instrument to remain in the vehicle, come out of trance, and function as the instrument, leaving this instrument's mind and spirit complex in its suspended state. The planetary energies at this time were at what seemed this entity to be a critical point, for that which you know as freedom had gained in acceptance as a possibility among many peoples. This entity saw that work done by those beginning the democratic concept of freedom, as you call it, in danger of being abridged or abrogated by the rising belief and use of the principle of enslavement of your entities. This is a negative concept of a fairly serious nature in your density. This entity therefore went forward into what it saw as a battle for the light, for healing of a rupture in the concept of freedom. This entity did not gain or lose karma by these activities due to its detachment from any outcome. Its attitude throughout was one of service to others, more especially to the downtrodden or enslaved. The polarity of the individual was somewhat, but not severely lessened by the cumulative feelings and thought forms which were created due to large numbers of entities leaving the physical plane due to trauma of battle. So, yeah, that's insane. This is from Ra.
Right. And you look at it, it's whatever confederacy, and that's usually the term they use. That's what they use in the articles, because it's a union of states. It's a joint friendship. And they have been attacked mercifully, because they create a republic. You went to the ancient Greeks, those confederacies, well, they were run by kings.
Yes.
Then you went to the Roman Republic, and that got destroyed because it's always, the ego that I am anointed from God. Like Julius Caesar. Oh, I'm a descendant. Where do you get these ideas? Like, you should be thrown in a loony bin. Like, sorry, you're not. All right. Okay. Like, what are you talking about, pal? Oh, so you should be in charge then. You shouldn't be the guy who's like sweeping the street, like that's the one thing you do have to like about Jesus. He wasn't like, no, anoint me king. He's like, no, I'm just trying to spread the message and, tell people that, spread good cheer and, help people. And, the guy was walking around with sandals. You see all these, these huge mega churches. Like, that was one thing my dad used to make fun of. He's like, these bishops and cars, they're walking around with gold chains, like the rappers. He's like, what are we doing? How many people would that feed? You think Jesus walked around with sandals? It's like, look at these guys. He's like, oh, this is not, and he wasn't a religious guy, but, he believed in Jesus, all that, but he was like, this is not what you're talking about. And all of these things, it's just about subjugating people. Just getting them under you, just like the law. Is it the law of one?
Yep.
Yeah. Man, there are so many assholes out there. It's incredible.
And that's what Lincoln was trying to tell you in that he knew. I think just like Jefferson and the rest, like he knew what the hell was going on. He saw it.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, hello, people. Hi, America. Like, stand up. What, why are you sleeping on this? And that's back then.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's a common theme. It's amazing that it's made it this far. And that's what, Elbridge Gerry, the delegate from Massachusetts, of course. And if you can picture a guy named Elbridge Gerry, that's what he looks like. It's where you get the term gerrymandering, from all those congressional districts. But, when he didn't sign the Constitution because it didn't have a Bill of Rights, but he also said this isn't going to last 150 years. Is he knew that this is just going to apex. It's going to, and they all knew that. The guys who were really in the know, Jefferson, but that's why I think they kept the articles. They pushed everything in the Constitution. They made it a law under the articles. So when it all falls apart, you can go back. And then the biggest thing about Jefferson was he was sitting there. It's like, we have to educate the people. Because if they are not educated, they won't know. Now we say, well, people are idiots now. Think about how many illiterate people were back then. And then you get an idea, okay, people do know what the federal government is. They do know what taxes are. They do know a lot more than they did back then. So it's interesting.
It's crazy to think about reading that, understanding that if you put it into the context of what is happening now, look at all the symbolism that's happening with statues falling, bridges going down. I mean, these are what they called omens back then, We're just seeing it as, oh shit, here we go.
Somebody doesn't know how to drive a ship, you know. Yeah. I mean, for the power of the ship to go out 3 times just before it's getting to the bridge, and then all of a sudden it's just, why wouldn't it stay on its normal course? If it loses power, it's going to stay on the course that it was on before. It's not going to start veering off to the right. It wasn't like one side of the ship lost power, the other one didn't. Like, it's just wow.
Yeah.
But
that you could take that as an omen, and back then times, that's what they called those things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They take this, a lot of those people that came from Europe were all spiritual and pagan and brought a lot of those ideals over. They were trying to keep some sense out of the religious sect, because a lot of them were Puritans and into Catholicism. And a lot of them were like, I'm going to secretly tuck this away within me. Oops.
Yeah.
But that's it's big.
Yeah, like if you watch the movie Troy, which wasn't really that great of a movie, but Hector's talking about, the Trojan War. He's like, bird signs. That's what we're going with? Bird signs? Like, what? We got a whole army out there. What do you need bird signs for? It's like, but showing that the old ways were just, not like you're saying, look after, okay, Diddy gets arrested. That's a sign. This ship hitting into this and destroying a bridge, that's a sign, not some bird flying around the air. And Marcus Aurelius talked about it as well. You got to look at the signs. They weren't just like, there's a dove, and that's like, no, it's look at about what's going around in the world. What are the signs? And I think one thing that this week has really focused on is in the U.S. between Diddy and then, the bridge.
Oh, yeah.
Nobody's paying attention to any other part. Gaza's off the, nobody's talking about Gaza. Nobody's talking about Ukraine. So something else is going on over there. They're trying to take your focus away from something.
Well, I mean, the media is like CNN. The Patriot stuff is also like CNN.
Yeah.
Everybody's dangling the carrot and everybody's following it as, yeah, it is interesting. It is fun to watch. At some sense, it's sick. But what are they hiding? What else is going on? And they're just 2 little smidgen omens, amongst a ton of other things going on. It's just sad.
Yeah. And I think the Whiteheads are having a lot to do with this, that they want to have your attention somewhere at certain times. It's going to be Gaza here, then something else is going on over there. And it's nuts. But like Lincoln was saying through, channeling, guys got to pay attention. This is so easy to lose. It's so easy, and it's right there, and you can lose it that quick. And if you look at, a guy, General Smedley Butler, Marine Corps, awarded the Medal of Honor twice, and he wrote a book called, War's a Racket, because he fought in the Banana Wars. Like, we're just doing whatever these bankers tell us to. Like, what? And this guy wrote the book in like 1950, and he lived in like he grew up in the 1800s. So it's like, wow. But it's we have to look at what the hell's going on, and people are starting to take more control of these things, and it's just going to be up to people to keep it going. It's like Elon Musk actually just posted, he says, they're not arresting pedophiles in Boston. What the hell's going on? So I just, I replied to it. I'm like, yeah, we're the John Hancocks, John Adams, and Sam Adams of this generation. But then you had so many things come in from the Patriot Act, from all of these different things. I mean, there was George Bush wrote an executive order saying, if you protest the war in Iraq, you can be arrested. What? And it was just, and then you get social media, and what happens? You get these these bots and these bullies who come in and just destroy you. Like that one guy he's a religious guy, didn't want to bake a cake for a gay couple. And they sued all the way to Supreme Court. Like, go to another baker. Like, or learn how to bake a cake. Like, the guy has his own beliefs. Like, but it wasn't about that. It was about trying to destroy this guy's beliefs and say, no, you have to do what we tell you. You can't do this. Or you're the worst person in the world just for whatever his beliefs are.
It's crazy.
Man, they are nuts.
It's but he's saying, America, hi, America.
Mm-hmm.
Are you awake yet?
Right.
Hi. This again, back then, and that was back then.
Right.
Like, that's insane to, like, this is what boggles my mind with the things that I read in from these people. It sounds like it's happening right now, but it happened already.
Mm-hmm.
We're repeating again and again in the same cycle. It just keeps modernizing itself.
Right. And you look at a guy like, Joseph McCarthy with the communist trials. He was trying to tell people, like, of course, the media has made him about to be this Nazi and, of course, and fascist. And what he was trying to do is say, hey, these are people who are openly trying to destroy the United States. They're communists. That means they don't believe in our form of government, which means technically they could be an enemy. That's all he was trying to say, is how far did it infiltrate into Hollywood? How far did it infiltrate in here? And even by that time, it was deep, and he knew it.
Everywhere.
Yeah.
And it's just now about, okay, so the white hats are cleaning house to an extent. Where are we not looking?
Mm-hmm.
What factions of society are we not looking at? You can't stop somebody from having communist beliefs. You wouldn't know if you walked past somebody on the street. You don't know what their beliefs are. And someone could hide and lie about it. No, I'm not a communist. What are you talking about? But that's the hard part. It's this cleanup after all this shit does happen.
Mm-hmm. Where
do we go? How do we move forward?
Right. Well, yeah, anybody who's been, when you get to Congress, you have to take the oath, preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution. There, it says a Republican form of government. Right there, if anybody goes against that, who's taking that, that's treason. Right there. And say, oh, well, I'm a communist. Well, that means you are not now you violated your oath. And that's what they're going to get a lot of people on, I think, is now you've violated your oath. Where the hell did these people, it's how much money was paid to these people. And that's all it is. Communism is the biggest farce. It is the promise of the great world. And all it is just an oligarchy. It's the highest order. Oh, all you have to do is look back at Russia. The people at the top, they were fine. But then the people just under them, well, they had to, do whatever these people told them. Or what happens? Oh, you get sent to, the gulag, like nobody sees you again. It's brutal. But Lincoln saying it back then, saying it, when he was in office, these guys were fighting for it. They knew what the threats were, and they came out and kept saying it. And we just got that far away. I mean, it's not a mistake that they did this after most of the World War II. 99.9% of that generation is dead. If they'd done this 20 years ago, these guys would have gone nuts, because about 25 years ago, those guys would have gone crazy. Said, this is just, And if you look at the World War II memorial in D.C., all the vets who were there from World War, they're like, this is some Nazi fascist, what is this? It's just like right out of the Third Reich.
It's sad.
Yeah.
And just
So any other good things going in the spiritual world? Like, let's see, what can we dive into today? A little bit more.
well, Lincoln
but
being
that
a
is-
walk-in is fun.
A Vulcan?
A walk-in.
A walk-in. Now, can you define that again? A walk-in is?
So a walk-in is when a soul is tired. I'm a walk-in. When a soul is tired and doesn't have much vitality left, it either switches with its higher self, the higher oversoul will come in, or another entity will come in sleep or a tragic accident, or when they're under anesthesia, they'll come in and pop in. And you'll know that somebody's disposition and a little bit of character, they still have memories, they still know that everything that what that person did. It's just your whole mentality changes. That happened to me 7 years ago, right before my mother died. I woke up one day, I felt fine, and my mom triggered me, and I didn't respond the way she was expecting me to. And she goes, "What is wrong with you? You below your top right now, and you're fucking calm. What's that about?" And she kept seeing differences in my personality. And when I was able to figure that out, and I asked upstairs what went on, "Oh, no, your higher self came in because you were ready to self-destruct, and you wouldn't have been able to handle what was coming." And that would be my mom's death, this losing of job, the whole move. I would have reacted in a, I can't do this anymore. Lights out. So I had my higher self jump into me, but Lincoln had another entity come in, a higher density entity who, the saying is, they're supposed to fulfill what was left in that soul contract that Lincoln had, and then move forward into the destiny of what that person was supposed to hold. So if Lincoln wasn't assassinated, and I'm sure a lot of these souls knew that that really wasn't Lincoln's soul, and they took him out for it, could imagine what other things would have happened for America if they didn't take him out.
Man, Jesus.
So there are a lot of people walking around with a swap of souls. It's a choice. That soul or that vehicle didn't want to live anymore, or is just getting really tired, and something else pops in. But 90% of the time, it's your higher self. But there are entities that pop in. Jesus was also a walk-in.
Makes sense.
So they're higher density beings. Some of them are of the alien type that come in as a soul to better the world.
Right. Like you.
Yes. I wouldn't have been able to handle, if I was my old self, I wouldn't even be alive. That's just the way my third density soul function. My higher density self is like, no, you're fine. You signed up for this. You got this. What are you talking about?
Oh man, no, that's awesome. I mean, I love it. It's all these things that I've never explored because I'm more of a.
I mean, Ross says it right there. He's like, another entity jumped into Lincoln.
Right.
It's fantastic. I actually just got some books by another author, Ruth Montgomery, who talks about walk-ins, and there's a lot of different kinds of walk-ins. I'm just giving you a generalized, synopsis of what a walk-in is. But yeah, I mean, we do get tired.
Yeah, I imagine. Yeah,
awesome. And Lincoln was very spiritual, and that a lot of that time, in that period of time, there's a lot of seances and a lot of loss of life and a lot of like tragic trauma that all of them experienced, and they didn't know what to do with it. So like, let's go talk to the dead. Let's see how they're feeling. And that's, for a lot of people, it is really healing when you can connect to the other side and hear like, hey, I'm fine. I'm happy. Move on. Live your life. Stop dwelling on me. Like, I'm right next to you. Just like, I'm here.
Yeah. Absolutely. And, that's one thing when you look at from Jefferson or Napoleon, those guys, obviously, they, were in the spiritual realm. But what they did was they studied all of those guys in the past. Like Napoleon wanted to be, like Alexander the Great. He wanted to be like Julius Caesar. And so when he was like 9 or 10, that's all he read. Like he wouldn't go out and play. He would just read about, that's who he wanted to become. But because he couldn't channel them or whatever, he had to read about these guys. What were they like? What did they do? And they read everything they could on these guys so they could get an understanding of what did these guys practice, which, what made these guys different. Why was Julius Caesar, one of the greatest generals of all time? Why was Alexander the Greatest still the greatest general of all time? And then, when you get to Jefferson, he's studying, Socrates and Plato, and, he's hitting them all. He didn't really care about being a general. Like, that's, you guys do that. More of a woman than a fighter,
But look at the wisdom that came out of Plato and Socrates and that whole Pythagoras. Like, look at all of that time frame. That was the Age of Enlightenment.
Yep. No, it was. And, you've got,
brilliant
Archimedes and all of those guys. And, it's the funniest thing. It's, Socrates, he taught Plato, and then Plato taught Aristotle, and then Aristotle taught Alexander the Great. What happened to that school system? Like that was a pretty good one. That seemed to work pretty well, but no, we've got, hey, I just came out to my class. There's 7.
Aristotle's Metaphysics is one of those books that took me forever to comprehend. Like in depth. Yeah. Like that is doing shit.
Yeah, you read Marcus Aurelius. It's like
I have to, all of them are behind me.
Yeah, it's like, what the hell's this guy talking about? And there were very, they call them the 5 benevolent emperors. Aristotle, not Aristotle, but Marcus Aurelius, the last one. It wasn't a passed down throne. They picked out who was the best, and then they anointed them. And that's when the Roman Empire was really working well. And then, Commodus comes over and that sort of thing. But I will say one thing about, the thumbs up and thumbs down and all that, which a lot of people don't know, especially because they got a movie wrong in the movie Gladiator, is so when one gladiator was about to, had basically defeated his opponent, and the guy's on the ground, I think I talked about this, ready to, jab his spear into the guy and kill him, he would look to the emperor. And if the, emperor gave this, that meant kill him. Stick your spear into him. If you gave that, it said, let him live. Now, I don't know if you guys remember when John McCain had that vote in the Senate and he comes up and he goes like this. Yeah, he was begging for his life, in my opinion. Let me live. Yeah. So then you look at Trump with the thumbs up. It's like, uh-oh, now we're really confused. Let's not look too far into this one. But
Who is he taking out now? Who is he giving the orders to?
Right. Who knows? Who knows? Gang signs we got going. Yeah. Man, it's crazy. So, but man, this is awesome. And yeah, I mean, that's what we need to do is really look at Lincoln. Also, sorry, I forgot to mention happy Good Friday to everybody out there in the Christian world. And also this is Vietnam Remembrance Day for, Vietnam War Day to remember it. So, it's a big day in history, our history, and then of course, world history, Jesus. So, but yeah, so today's Good Friday. Not sure why they call it Good Friday when he got, crucified, but yeah. So And then obviously Sunday we have Easter.
Yeah, just the Ascension. That's all.
Yeah, awesome. Allie, this has been awesome. Thank you for joining us again. Couple programs notes. Next week, I'll be going and doing a locals on Friday. I haven't figured out the time, and it's going to be a crazy theory that I came up with a couple years ago, and I'm going to revisit. And this thing's so crazy, I can't put it on my regular channel. I got to put it on locals because this is nuts. So again, it gets into a realm, and hopefully you'll join us for that because this gets into time travel and all that, and so if you want to join us on that locals, it'll be next Friday sometime. So if you want to join us for that, Allie, that'd be great. And we'll be doing Jack Breaks Out on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And Thursday will be a locals, just a Q&A for about an hour. Just do that once a week, and then we'll have the locals on Friday to go over my crazy hypothesis, which is tough to even articulate. I told Conan, and as I went further into it, he's like, dude, this is really weird. It's starting to make sense, and it's freaking me out. But I don't know. Do you want to do a Q&A on locals, like 10 minutes or something?
Yeah, we can.
All right.
If you would like, I'm free.
All right, cool. Yeah, we'll be on locals in about 5 minutes. So I'll send you a new link, and then thank you guys for joining us on this Friday. Hope you're having a wonderful Easter weekend, Good Friday, and all my love. And hopefully you can join us for locals Q&A. Ask Allie anything about the spiritual realm, because I'm just going to sit here and listen because it's interesting and I love it. So I know nothing, so it's great. So Allie, thanks again. And so I think we've got more of our schedule thrown out. One thing I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try and record a video for locals on what I'm going to be going over next week. It'll be the first show, and then I'll drop it on Rumble probably on Tuesday morning. So then it'll roll into what I'm going to talk about next week. So for all everybody on locals, you'll get it there early and see what the hell I'm talking about with citizenship and all that. So, just a little thank you to everybody on locals, because you're keeping me going. So awesome. And we'll be on locals in about just a couple minutes. So hopefully you guys can join us there. And Allie, thanks so much. This is awesome. Love you guys, and have a great weekend. If we don't see you, and we'll see you on WeNotMe on noon on God's Day. So
Ishtar.
Absolutely. And you can find Allie's artwork and everything at AllieCatCreations211.com. It's on the bottom there. And you can find her show at, why do I never have this?
The YouTube channel.
Yeah.
YouTube is AllieCatCreations211.
All right, same thing. So that's on YouTube, and you can check out our awesome work. So thank you guys, and hopefully we'll see you on the locals. If not, have a wonderful weekend, and we'll see you guys soon.